So what is up, fellow YouTubers? Welcome to E.A.A. I'm Mike, I'll be your host, and I thank you for being here. As you can see from the opening clip, yes, the Tahoe is gone. I actually sold the Tahoe and have bought another vehicle that I'm sitting in right now, and I'm gonna get to that vehicle in just a second, but let me kind of preface it with a story because, hey, I like stories. So as many of you might know, my son's gonna be 16 and gonna be driving here in about another 7 months. I really thought what I would do is I would buy myself something different to drive, and I would give my son the Tahoe. My son didn't want the Tahoe. It's just not his style, and I do get it. It's kind of a big vehicle for a first vehicle for a kid, so I understand that. So I was kind of looking at something for him, but really more looking for something for me, and then maybe thinking that I would go ahead and sell the Tahoe. Well, I found something for me. As I said, I'm sitting in it as we speak, and I put the Tahoe up for sale. I was asking $5,000 for it, which was reasonable based on Kelley Blue Book, and I was getting some ridiculously stupid offers, $3,000, $3,500. A few trades were offered up. Nothing that was a bad trade, not necessarily, but just nothing that was like piquing my interest, piquing my son's interest, or what have you. So I'd really gotten to the point where I thought, you know what, I think I'm just going to keep the Tahoe, and I'm just going to have two daily drivers, my new one that I'm sitting in now and the Tahoe. That'll work out perfectly. Don't really need two daily drivers, but hey, I also don't need the 17 vehicles that are in my shop right now. That doesn't stop me now, does it? So I kind of gotten to that point, and the vehicle, the Tahoe, was still online for sale, and I had a number of people hitting me up. And last couple of people hit me up, it's like, okay, what's the lowest you'll go? Which seems to be the typical thing that everybody wants to ask. And I said, you know what? I'm asking $5,000. I'll take $4,500. I won't go any less. That's it. It's firm. No less. So I had a guy that said, okay, I'll be there in just a few minutes, and he was relatively close. He was here within about half an hour, 40 minutes. Took the vehicle for a drive. He liked it, and comes back and says, okay, I'll give you $38,000 for it. I said, no. I said, truthfully, I don't even want to sell it. So I'll honor the $4,500, but if you don't take it, I'm going to actually take it off Craigslist. I'm going to take it off Facebook Marketplace, and I'm going to keep the vehicle. So he said, how about $4,000? And I'm like, dude, you're just not getting it. I told you my bottom line is $45,000. So he ended up agreeing to the $45,000. He wanted to buy it that night. He said he would write me a check. Nothing against him, but I said, you know what? No, I need cash. So he came back the next day with cash and bought the vehicle. He got a good vehicle. I kind of miss it. I even have found myself looking on Craigslist at other Tahoes, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't be the same. That was a great vehicle. I had it for about a year and a half. Got me and my family back east on a nice trip, and it's been very, very faithful, very reliable. I've had very few problems with it. It's been a really good vehicle. So what maybe a lot of you don't know about me is I am actually a big fan of land yachts. I like big, comfortable, cushy, soft, supple riding cars. I like vehicles that are just comfortable. I've had several Cadillacs. I have had several Buicks. I had a Lincoln. I even had an Oldsmobile. Very comfortable cars, and I enjoy them for daily driver use. Even the Tahoe was actually a very comfortable vehicle, very spacious, had a lot of good features and stuff like that that I really enjoyed. So I tend to gravitate towards those vehicles. And what I really wanted was a Buick Park Avenue. I wanted the Ultra with the supercharged 3800 V6. I was really looking for one of those vehicles, but they're not easy to find, and if you do find them, they're usually not in really great shape. They've got a lot of miles on them, or people want just way too much money for them. So I opened my search up to vehicles that had the 3800 motor with the supercharger on top, and lo and behold, I came upon this. 2003 Buick Regal GS. Now what's a GS stand for? Got supercharger, you got it, absolutely. Actually, I don't know what the GS stands for. I think it's Grand Sport, but got supercharger sounds kind of good. But yeah, you can see GS and one little badge to tell you that this thing has a supercharger in it. Do a nice little walk around. So I found this one online on Craigslist. It had been online for sale for about 10 days. The guy I bought it off of has like 25 cars. Project cars and things like that, but he has some really cool stuff he's working on. This particular car happened to belong to his dad. His dad bought it brand new, then he acquired it when his dad couldn't drive it any longer. He sold it to his girlfriend, and his girlfriend decided it was just too much car for her, so she wanted to get rid of it. It actually sit for quite a little while. It was on non-op when I got it, so it had been sitting for, I don't know, maybe about 6 months or so, and but the car looked really good. When I walked up to it, I walked around it, I liked the color, I liked the looks of it, the interior was very clean. He started it up, it's cold started very nicely, and I probably didn't do my due diligence in it, in that I just took it down the road for a little drive. I didn't really get on it, I didn't really run it out or anything like that. The only thing I noticed in it was there was a little vibration in the front end up to about 50 miles an hour, then it went away. The seller said he thought it was probably tires. Eddie was with me, he said it was probably tires too, and that would take care of the problem. So I wasn't horribly concerned about it. So I ended up purchasing the car. He was asking $3,250. I bought it for $2,800 and drove away feeling really good about it. Well, Eddie drove it home and tells me that under a load, it was missing. It was surging, it was having a problem, and that was a little bit of a concern. So that kind of deflated me a little bit. So Eddie got it home, cleaned out the fuel system because it had been sitting, ended up replacing the plugs, and now it runs great. I'm very impressed with the way the vehicle drives and runs. Actually, the more I drive it, the better it runs. Fill it up with some brand new 91 fuel, premium unleaded, and added a little bit of race fuel to it just for good measures, and the car's running great. I will show you. I'm very impressed with the way it runs and drives. Now, since I've had it for maybe about 2 weeks now, maybe a little bit under that. I have tinted the windows. I had that done very recently, and had the vehicle detailed out, although you can't tell because it has rained in the meantime and it's kind of grungy. I've been driving it around a little bit. And I did add an aftermarket sound system to it. Ended up replacing all the speakers, putting a subwoofer in it, a different head unit for Bluetooth, and it sounds great. I just got it back last night and it sounds really great. The only thing I really probably will do to this car is it could use new tires. By the way, that wobble that I was talking about in the front end has pretty much went away after driving the car a little bit, but I suspect that maybe there might be some front end work that needs to be done to the car. So I'm going to take it to Jesse, have him check that all out, make sure the brakes are all good. Like I said, probably replace the tires. Tires still have quite a bit of tread wear on them. They could probably go, I don't know, probably another 5,000 or 6,000 miles, but I'll start new. I like starting new, so I probably will replace the tires. And I'm thinking possibly, perhaps, maybe I might do a stage 1 performance kit on it. Now the stage 1 would give me a smaller pulley, cold air intake, hotter plugs, and a different ECU for a different tune. Net me about another 10% out of the motor. And these motors are already fairly healthy. They're rated at 240 horsepower, 280 pound-feet of torque, and they do very well. As a matter of fact, let's pop the hood and take a look under the hood at that beautiful motor and beautiful supercharger right now. So you got the supercharger on top. It's an Eaton supercharger. 3.8 liter V6, and you can't help but love the sound of the cows in the background. The joys of living in the country. But it's very clean. My detail guys came out and they did a really good job detailing under the hood, making it look really, really good. So interior wise, we got all leather seating, your basic gauges, but there is a digital gauge that's right in there that I'll show you guys when we drive, and it does give you boost numbers and a few other little things. The car is very super clean. See back there, the back seats look like they haven't even really been set in. Headliner's in great shape. The car, it was very, very clean, very, very nice, very well done. Now what I like about the car so much is that it's very unassuming, it's very quiet. The exhaust note is almost non-existent compared to my Tahoe. I barely hear it when I start it up. And it's kind of a little bit of a sleeper, actually. I actually had a Camaro come up behind me, a newer Camaro come up behind me the other day, and I had to slow down for a vehicle in front of me that was turning. So it just flew right up on my butt. And as soon as traffic cleared, I stepped on this car, lit the tires up just a little bit, and took off, and I never saw the Camaro again. I mean, I think I might have taken him by surprise, because I suspect he probably could have kept up with me even if it was a 6-cylinder. But yeah, the car, it's very unassuming. It's just, if you look at it, it's just very unassuming. Now, the car is not as big as, say, a Park Avenue. Park Avenue is definitely a wider, longer car, but in a way I think I kind of scored in the respect of performance-wise, because you got to figure a Park Avenue is about 400 pounds heavier and much bigger car with the exact same drivetrain. So that being said, this car is actually quicker to 60 by about a second, and we'll get through the quarter mile about a second faster with a few more miles per hour than the Park Avenue. So in a way, I think I did well. I mean, I do like the bigger, roomier cars, but this is nice. It's a good mid-sized car. Come back here. Takes up a little smaller footprint here in the carport. Certainly trying to park it, maneuver it's a little bit easier than, let's say, the Tahoe was or a Park Avenue would be. So yeah, let's take it for a drive. Now I know I did say that he was going to be doing the video, but he was a little camera shy, didn't really know what to say exactly. So he said he would do the driving part of it. I'm good with that. So I mentioned the little display down there in the driver information. So you can go down here, got a few things, fog lights, you reset, English metric, that type of thing. But if you go to mode and you start scrolling through, you'll see instant miles per gallon, oil life, just changed that, so that's good. Range, how much farther I have left on this tank. And then of course the boost and average miles per gallon. So Bryson and I are setting off on a little test drive in the car. He really wanted to drive, but apparently there's a law in the state of California that says an 8-month-old cannot operate a motor vehicle. I'm bewildered. I don't know what to think about it, but you know, hey, we got to be safe and sensible, right? So my impression of the car is it is a nice riding car. It's definitely a Buick. It rides good. It's fairly quiet. I do know the Park Avenue would have ridden better. I do know that it would have been quieter just because it's more their luxury version. You know, the Century, the Regal is more the smaller, condensed version, but this car does ride very nicely. The only complaint that I have about this car, quite honestly, and I'm just nitpicking, is, yes, I know, he's putting in his 2 cents, is that I wish it had the automatic headlights. My Tahoe had the automatic headlights. I even had an Olds LS, a 96 mind you, that had the automatic headlights that would come on when it got dark and go off when it got light. And this car doesn't have it. I have to manually do it. I know it's not a big deal. I just have to pull this little switch out and push the fog lights on if I want them. But it's still just kind of a pain, you know? Come on, Buick. So we'll take it down the freeway, get some heat in the engine, and just kind of cruise along, see how it does, see if we can get the average MPG up there a little bit. That is one thing that this thing is going to do a lot better than the Tahoe is the mileage. Just average driving around, and I've been stepping into it and playing with the power of it. It was running around 18 miles a gallon yesterday before I had the stereo done. Nice cruising car, everything works, windows go up and down the way they should. The air conditioning does need to be charged. That's another thing I need to have taken care of, and he's pretty adamant that I need to get the air conditioning taken care of before the summer. Nice cruising car. We're cruising along at about 70 right now, and absolutely no issues at all. And, you know, step into it. So it's got plenty of pickup, plenty of get up and go. Brakes very well. Like I said, pretty comfortable, quiet, roomy, but it's got a pretty good sized trunk. Kind of a behind the wheel perspective. No shake in the steering wheel anymore, which is nice, because it had a pretty notable shake in the steering wheel when I first tested it, which did kind of concern me. Like I said, the ride is good. It's not the best riding car I've ever had, but I know some new tires will definitely help that. So I don't know, I'm not in any big hurry to get new tires, but new tires for this car, considering they're only 16-inch rims, to go back with the factory size, I can get a set of 4 mounted and balanced for about 250 bucks. That's really not that bad. It makes its power delivery very smoothly, and because it is so smooth and quiet, you really don't realize that you're already up to freeway speeds very, very quickly. The other day I was driving it and I had traction control off, because I usually tend to want to drive it with traction control off. It doesn't spin too badly, but I was doing about maybe 15 miles an hour, and I dumped the throttle. It lit the front tires up just a little bit, grabbed traction, and before I knew it, I was like at 75 miles an hour. So that's one thing, it's just very smooth and quiet, so you don't realize how fast you're going until you're already up there. Now, of course, by today's standards, this car is not that fast. 240 horsepower and 280 pound-feet of torque doesn't sound that impressive, The car's around 3,500 pounds, so it's not horribly heavy, and it does all right. I really wanted to stay on a budget, and I really didn't want to spend more than maybe $2,000 or $3,000 on a car. You know, after it's all said and done, tinting windows, a stereo, etc., I'm probably going to be into this car, and that's assuming I do the stage 1 performance kit and everything like that, maybe around $5,000 or so. I won't get that money back, I know that, but it makes for a very nice driving experience, and I figure what else could I go out and spend $5,000 on and really enjoy this much? So as I said, not a really fast car by today's standards, but I'll step into it and show you what it'll do. We'll do a little first person here. Not bad at all. It gets down the road pretty nicely. Definitely not the fastest car I own, but it's definitely not the slowest. I would say it's probably in the upper half of the vehicles that I own as far as performance and speed goes, and it's just incredibly comfortable. Back from the test drive, found what's left of a twist tie, obviously from doing the stereo yesterday, in the center console, so I will dispose of that properly. At no time was Bryson ever in the vehicle when I was exceeding the speed limit. That was just me, and it was minimally exceeded anyway. But yeah, I just wanted you guys to know that. Hey, buddy. Hey, what is that? Is that a little bright for you? I'm sorry. We need to get you some sunglasses. So what do you think of the car? Tell everybody what you're thinking. Uh-huh. Okay. He's a young man of very few words until he wants to say what he wants to say. Then he says a lot, and he says it very loudly sometimes. We're still working on the whole indoor voice thing. So I'm going to end the video here, but if you like it, please do give me a thumbs up. Also, tell me what you think about this lapel mic. I decided to use a lapel mic and see if it would increase the sound, make the sound quality a little bit better. So tell me what you guys are thinking. Tell me if you like it, you don't like it, what have you. I would appreciate it. Instagram P.O. box will be in the description below. God bless. Take care. Have an absolutely amazing day. Yeah, he's excited.